Welcome back again. In this video, we are going to see how to make or create React application that will be generating a random color in the background of the page once a given button pressed. So let's get started with the project. Now first things first, we need to deactivate our previous project by commenting out this and commenting out the import. So let's go back to our application. If we save, we will see nothing. Next step is actually create the project folder. So once again, let's go into our projects, create another folder, Randomize Colors. Remember camel case everything and JSX OK. RFC. Give a short start with a shortcut, and also first things first, we need to save and import it within here. So let's go one step down, open. Randomize Color, close it up. Hit save and it should work. So I need to zoom in a bit. Let's see. Okay, let's go back to our randomized color. Now again, I'm going to return a container. Class name of container, and let's move down here and let's delete this randomized colors and move it into a title component. So component title, capital T title. Title, we need to have you as a text, so text and paste this in as a string, randomized color. So let's make a space between them. Next, let's move underneath of it, and also let's insert here another class, so class name or classes, and let's add here AMB and module to the bottom of 4, and now because I changed the class on it. You know what? Let's move back to our component. I want to change something here, so I still want this title to be in here. So I could do something like pass it in the title and also pass in here class and the string of title. Okay, I want this title to remain there nevertheless. Also, if you pass in a subtitle, then it should change. Okay, let's move back to our component. So let's also add back why my even stack centers just still remains. I'm going to take it out from here, pass it back in here, and just leave it a title. OK. So we got a title set up. Next up, let's create a button, so just a regular button tag, and this button tag should have the handle of click me, not free, click me, okay? BTN, BT and danger, and this will give you a red button. Okay, let's copy this button a couple of times. Let's copy it for times because I want to show you a couple of things. So the second one, let's change it to success. Then let's change the next one to primary, and let's also do a warning button, warning. There we go. So we got our button set up. Let's also do here margin, auto, and text center. Okay, so everything is now centered. So how do we handle our events? You know, regularly if you take your HTML button you would add an event listener. You would take this button from the DOM, add an event listener to it, and in our case, we just need to type in a click, so unclick and let's do something. Let's handle click. The first one will handle the click. It's looking for the function. We're going to pass it in as just a regular console log. So console log and usual console log click. Okay, let's hit save. Let's check out the console, inspect, go to the console, and let's move up here. If I'm going to click the very first button, then I should get this console up click. So each time I'm clicking on the button, this function will be executed. Now why did I pass in the button as such, so handle click, and why didn't the function, and why didn't I pass it in as an execution like this, basically adding? Let me just come to that, basically adding the parentheses as well, because let's hit the refresh and just take a look down in the console. You see it just automatically executing and cannot execute it any longer, so in order to pass in a function, you need to pass it in as such as its name. Now let's say I want to grab onto the event from this button. Then I could do something like this. I'm going to create here a callback function, anonymous1, and this is going to trigger the button. Now if I want to pass in the event, as you can see, if I refresh the page, it's no longer executing, only when I'm clicking it. So why is this helpful? Well, so if I now try to click it, not working anymore, now I need to call the function here. Because I can now pass in the event, so if I'm passing down the event, I need to catch it here. So event, and if I'm clicking now the button, this still works. And also if I want to copy this console log, comment it out, and console log the event.target, or let's just console log the event. It should give me an execution of click event. So if I console log it now, it's undefined because I also need to catch it here, event. And if I'm clicking it, you can see its synthetic base event on click. And so far, and so on, so it's basically telling me that this was a click event. Okay, so I'm passing down the event execution here, passing it down to the function and grabbing it in here. And we can now do something like target and click on it again. It's going to give me the very first button, so you get the idea. Now, actually we're doing something else in React. We are using our functions up here. So you can do something like this, const. We're going to do exactly the same as we did up there. So handle click, and we're going to assign it, now click. And now we can assign it to anonymous function up here. Passing the event in here and then do something, so you can just remove. Actually, you know what? I'm going to change. I'm going to go to the next button. So just to show that it's the same thing, on click you will handle sec. Click, and I'm going to rename my function up here in secClick, and I'm going to console.log. Now this event.target, and whoop, this way. So the first one, if I'm clicking it ... actually, let me just clear the console. So the first one, if I'm clicking it to get the first button, the second button should be now this button, okay? You can see it's doing exactly the same thing, but this is a much shorter way. So grab on, create the function up here as another function, as using a const, this anonymous function up here, grab onto the event. So whenever this function is called on whatever element, because if I'm doing it this way, I have to pass in this to each and every one of them. This is the much shorter way, so let me pass on this function, the second one. Let me pass it in both of them. I just hold down Option, click through to things that I want to add a function to, and it added the function to both of the places. I'm going to leave in this one. This is just an example for you, for Leighton to work with it. Now, let's actually work in this and also in that function. I'm going to create another function. I'm going to create a function that is going to change the body color. Not the body color, but it's going to generate a random color. So let's create here a function, getRandomColor. And you obviously saw this function multiple times in JavaScript. Let's create a variable called letters. I'm going to pass in here in a string 01 to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then a BCDEF. OCDEF because all the hexadecimal colors start with a number or can start with anything, but they're basically from 0 to 9, and a BCDEF and absdef. Okay, and then let's create another variable called color or hex or whatever you want to name it. I'm going to pass in here the string of hexadecimal and now we're going to compile them or combine them using a for loop. So for let, where I is this, it's so rare that I use a regular for loop. So where I is less than 6 because I don't want to have a number that is more than 6. It can be less than 6 but not greater than 6, as you know hexadecimal numbers. Then we're going to iterate I and let's return a color and let's add to this color math. The math method and floor, and we're going to loop over our math method again and use the random method on it, and we're going to multiply this 16, okay? And this entire function should just return the color variable. That's it. So if I'm going to execute this function, then I should get a hexadecimal color. So let me pass this function in here on this handle click call. Let's take a look down here in the console. So if I press the very first one, nothing will happen, but if I, and also let me comment out this, I'm just going to comment ... console.log the event there, which is the button. But if I pass the second one, then it should generate a random number, but I should have also passed it into a console. So console.log the execution of that function. So let's click again and there we go. We have a string of a hexadecimal number of 6 digits. Perfect. Now what can we do with this random color? Well, we need to pass it in as a background color and as a color to the buttons. So what I'm going to do here is first of all grab onto the body. So I'm going to grab onto the body tag using regular JavaScript, so document, query selector, and we're going to grab onto the body tag. Okay, and now let's add to the body tag the style and background of the function of getRandomColor. And that's it. So if I will click now, also it's going to close up the console. If I'm going to click now the second button, then the background color should get a random color. And boom, there we go. You see, simple as that. Okay. Now let's grab onto the buttons. Now you see we have here event, and we know that we can grab onto the target we're clicking on, so let's use that. And we're going to grab onto the e.target, so whatever button we're going to click on, we're going to grab onto the style of it, so .style. And we're going to change this background color. We're going to assign it to the getRandomColor function. So basically, we're going to click on the very first button. It's going to not only generate a random color from the background, but also change the background color of the button that was clicked. Okay, and simple as that. Now, I just wanted to illustrate within this project how event handling works in React, so hope you enjoyed this project. Hope you understood how this works, and this is why I didn't create any kind of button component. We're going to create a button component just in a couple of minutes or in the next project, and also how we can use functions. So, hope you learned a lot, and see you in the next project. Bye bye.